What's going on, everyone? We have to go over Bitcoin. As you guys can see here, Bitcoin is now down to 73.2K, pushing 72K. We already dropped down to 72.7K earlier. This is actually huge. So I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to talk about where we're going next here with Bitcoin. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, but let's go straight over it. So as you guys can see, we went down 3.3% in the last 24 hours, 5% in the last 7 days, 7% in the last 2 weeks. So Bitcoin has been on a continued downtrend. And I've been talking about this. I've been talking about how this 50-day moving average right here on the daily chart, the red line, is very, very, very restrictive of the price, right? Because it's not letting the price go up above it. So it keeps getting rejected at that 50-day moving average. And it eventually just dumped from there, right? So we've seen that huge massive dump. We've seen the massive dump up here from the 200-day moving average, which is the white line. We're still trading within a bear flag, which is a bearish signal. And we also still have a falling wedge, a rising wedge within the bear flag, which is also a bearish signal. And then we also have our divergence, which just now completed around this area right here. And that is bearish divergence. So we have 3 bearish signals back to back. Bearish divergence is higher highs on the chart while simultaneously having lower highs on the MACD. And when you look over here, you can see the lower highs on the MACD that we printed out here. And then this was the last lower high. And then you can see that we switched to that bearish movement. The bearish divergence is then completed here. And you're just going to see a continued sell-off right here until it's done. And then you can also see the higher highs here. So that is pretty much what formed up to what's happening now. And then what is about to happen now that we have done all this? That is the big question. So the bottom of our bear flag, I've been talking about this for a while, the support down here at 71, let's just say 71.5K. I've been talking about the 71.5K support for a while, and this is going to be that make or break point, right? When we get here, if we drop below it, and we actually close a daily candle below it, we're going to remain bearish, right? What I mean by closing a daily candle, right? Every single candlestick is 1 day because this is the daily chart. So this is 1 day, and then we need to get a close on the next day. The next day needs to close down here below 71.5K, right? And then we need to keep closing below that to remain bearish, right? In order to remain bullish, we would have to slap that 71.5K support. And then we would have to bounce right back up to that resistance at 79.5K. And that's where our 200-day moving average would be if we were going to be bullish. But like I said, we just now completed our bearish divergence, which kind of confirms the bearish movement, which kind of also confirms the selling pressure, right? So we're going to start doing that. And I think in a little bit here, we're also going to start building bullish divergence. And bullish divergence is lower lows on the chart and higher lows on the MACD. We're already building it on other time frames. But yeah, we're going to start seeing those lower lows on the chart. And then this MACD, we're going to see this having an extended sell-off. And then we'll start to see those higher lows on the MACD. And then we'll see another breakout from that. So we'll have to wait and see how long this selling pressure lasts. But this selling pressure should create another low. So it should go below 60K technically, right? If we're looking at technicals. And then you can also look at the percent R trend exhaustion. Now I was talking about this. And I was saying, hey, if this long-term trend continues upwards, then that's going to be pretty bullish, right? But now we kind of see that the long-term trend is pulling back alongside the short-term trend. So if these continue to pull back together, it'll continue to be bearish. But the second we start to see the trend, going up like this, then we'll see the price going up. But what I think will happen will be some type of grind like this, where it's going to slowly but surely grind downwards. And then we're going to see that last big dump and then a big pump after that. So that's kind of how I'm seeing the market. That's how the pricing going right now inside of Bitcoin. This is the daily chart, by the way. And then if you pull up the weekly chart here, we got a little bit more info. Like I mentioned before, on other time frames, we are building bullish divergence because you're seeing the higher lows on the MACD while simultaneously creating lower lows on the chart. And we haven't created another lower low yet. So that means this one right here is what? That is going to be another lower low. And that is how I always come up with the 50K support being the next level that we're going to reach. So we're going to be creating new lower lows here. I know a lot of people are really against that ideology. A lot of people don't think that that's going to happen. And it's not because they don't think it's going to happen, it's because they're really hopeful. And it's because they lost a lot of money. So they're hopeful that it'll come back, and they're hopeful that it won't create new lower lows. But you can't go off of hope when you're trading, and when you're dealing with technical analysis, you can't go off of hope. You literally have to go off of technicals, purely technicals. And when you look at purely technicals, we're creating bullish divergence, but we're not bullish until we create that last lower low. So, or that last, the last lower low on the chart and the last higher low on the MACD. So, like I said before, this is the selling wave right here. We're seeing selling pressure coming in. As this selling pressure happens, we're going to see this happen right here. And then as that happens, that's going to be the new higher low. And then you're going to see more buying pressure. You might see one more before a breakout. So it's coming slowly but surely. It's coming, but we still have to create that new lower low on the prices. You're still going to see a new low in the prices because of that. And also, when you look at the percent R trend exhaustion, remember what I said weeks and weeks and weeks ago, even months ago. I was like, look, when this thing starts curving upwards, it's going to intersect. And you can go back, you'll hear me word for word saying it'll intersect. And usually when it intersects, it's going to come down here and dump, because it did the same exact thing in the last bear market. The second it intercepted all the way down here at the oversold region. So there is slightly a difference there. But the second it intercepted, it dumped even more. And if you look from October 31st, 2022 down to January 2023, let's go over there so you can see that. So October to January right here, you can see that's that pullback. That was the last dump. And then that was the last bottom. So it went all the way from 20.9K, and it literally dumped in 1 week down to 15K. And that dump right there, that $5,000 dump, which is about 25%, that $5,000 dump was enough to be the last pullback. And that was right on that. That was right on that intersection right there, right when it intersected. So yes, there's a possibility that we might have one more dump, and then that might be the last dump of this bear market. There's a possibility. But the way I'm looking at it, right, is if we pull back and create a new lower low at 50K, I see us going back up to like 60 or something, and then going down a little bit lower to like 48 or 45, and then having a massive pump, a massive breakout from there. That's kind of how I see things going, but I might be wrong. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, as for everything else, the weekly chart still building a bullish divergence. We're gonna get lower lows here in a second on the chart, so we're gonna get lower prices. And then you can also see on the daily chart, we completed our bearish divergence, and now we're selling off because of that. And you're gonna see that continued sell off here for Bitcoin there. And what we haven't went over actually is the 4-hour chart, which is at an oversold range, but it could stay oversold for an extended period of time. And what I see us creating actually on the 4-hour chart is another form of divergence, which in another sense is like bullish divergence. It kind of looks like we're going to start forming bullish divergence on the 4-hour. And again, that's higher lows on the MACD, but lower lows on the chart. So I think we're going to continue to create lower lows on the chart and continue to do our bullish divergence until it's ready to break out. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at this MACD, it almost looks like it's starting a bigger sell-off. Like this looks like the start of a big sell-off. So if this happens, right, and then you see some buying coming in, and then you see another pullback like this, then that's going to be the next lower low. Because remember, bullish divergence, lower lows on the chart with the prices, and then higher lows on the MACD. So these higher lows on the MACD are going to represent lower lows on the chart. So you have to look at it from that perspective. So we're going to still create lower lows even when we look at it from the perspective of a shorter time frame of the 4-hour chart. It still shows bearish movements, right? It still shows bearish pressure. So that's what we're going to be focusing on and paying attention to with Bitcoin. And let's just move on from the technicals now and kind of talk about the user sentiment. So let's talk about what some of the people are saying here. This guy Artie, he says Bitcoin, one of the largest options expiries of the year, is coming tomorrow, and it's starting to matter a lot more now. There's roughly $6.3 billion in options expiring tomorrow, with max pain sitting around 75K. and the largest call concentration around 80K. So pretty much what he's saying is a lot of people with calls are going to get liquidated. There's going to be a lot of people with calls getting liquidated tomorrow and probably today as well. We're going to see a lot of liquidations coming as the prices start to dump. You're going to see that narrative coming out a lot more. People are going to be talking about how everyone's getting liquidated. And then that is going to be what causes the flash crash. And that's how you have enormous crashes all in one day. Like whenever you see those big crashes, it's usually because of liquidations. Like this period right here, when this happened, it was because of liquidations. People were talking about liquidations. So, we were getting liquidated. So it went from 90K all the way down to 60K. So imagine that 90K down to 60K. And I think that was in a 1 week time span. If you look at the weekly chart, actually, it'll tell you in what time span that was. Actually, we can go all the way from 93K up here. So when you look at the weekly chart, is much different. Going from 93K all the way down to 60K. So that total was a 35% drop. Wow, 35% drop inside of a 2 week time frame, right? Inside of 14 days, it went down 35%. So don't think that Bitcoin can't do that again. Don't think that Bitcoin can't do that again. And Bitcoin's not even at that point. You see here, there was 2 sell-offs on the MACD, right? The first one really started all the way up here at the top. So just imagine what the sell-offs can do now, right? Just imagine what these sell-offs would do now. And if you look at this from the top all the way up here, and then it looks like 126 days, that was a 50% pullback, over 50% pullback. So just think about it now. If we were to hypothetically pull back 50% now, that would be a huge sell-off. So let's look at that. Hypothetically speaking, if we were to pull back 32% like the other one, that would be 44 to 45K, which is the more likely. I think it'll be 44 to 45K. And then if it goes down even more to like 40K or 39K, then we're looking at 50%. So I think more around 45K might be like that bottom range. But still, I know I've talked about how 28K possibly could be. There could be a whole plethora of bottoms. All right. We don't know where the actual bottom is going to be. We can only calculate it. But yeah, I would say anywhere from 50K down to 28K, right? Anywhere from 50K to 28K would probably be the bottom. But yeah, that guy is right. You definitely want to pay attention to the liquidations happening. Now, this guy says the biggest Bitcoin psyop was making everyone think I was wrong. That's what the algo was waiting for. And this guy pretty much tweeted saying he was wrong, saying that Bitcoin's bullish pretty much because he was wrong about it being bearish and now it's bullish. And now that it's bearish, he's saying, oh, it was just a trick. It was just a trick. It was a psyop. I was just trying to trick you guys. I was just trying to trick everybody. Like when you see people backtracking on what they said before, that's when you know you got to stop following them, because I've been bearish this whole time. And I only had a bullish undertone once I start seeing us getting above like the 50-day moving average. Once I start seeing, or the 200-day moving average, once I start seeing us hit that level at the 200-day up here, that's when I was like, okay, we might be bullish only because we broke out of our bear flag. And as you guys know, bear flags are bearish signals. So the second we start breaking out of the bear flag, I'm like, okay, if we break past the 200-day moving average, we are bullish. We did not do that. So that's why I'm not flip-flopping. I'm remaining bearish, and I've been remaining bearish this whole time since the bear market started. And I will be remaining bearish till the end of the bear market. And you will see people jumping in and out of the bearish sounding tweets, right? There's going to be people say, oh, I'm bearish, or I'm bullish now. Oh, I'm bearish now, because after it went bullish and then it starts dumping. Oh, it's bearish. You know, people are just going to keep flip-flopping back and forth. It's funny. Anyways, this guy says Bitcoin is dumping exactly after breaking down the support line, just like expected. Breakdown confirmed, and bears took full control. So yeah, the bears are taking control and the momentum is speeding up. And Crypto Rover says, I'm still $5 million short on Bitcoin, already up 430K in profits. He's doing a 10x leverage. Wow, that is actually crazy. $5 million short on Bitcoin. He put in $568,000 of his own money and did 10x leverage. So yeah, that's actually pretty insane here. to be up $431,000 in Bitcoin. That's years on top of years worth of salary right there. And that's what trading can do for you when you actually learn how to do it properly and when you have a lot of money. Because you don't make a lot of money in trading unless you have a lot of money. So when you have a lot of money, then you can make a lot, but you have to make sure your skills match your money, right? I've had moments where I've had too much money to trade with, but not enough trading skill, and literally lost all of the money. So you don't want to be in a position where you have a lot of money, but not a lot of trading skill. You don't want to be in a position where you're trading like that, right? You only trade with a lot of money when you have a lot of skill. Right? Be extremely careful. And then this person here says, for the love of everything good, please bounce at 70K and run it back up. So like, remember what I said earlier, how people are hopeful for this to continue to pump, because a lot of people are down a lot of money. So you'll see people doing an analysis like this, but they're doing it wrong. He's saying that he hopes that it'll break out upwards. But the problem is he's saying that on a rising wedge, right? You're saying that while we're looking at a bearish pattern. Like, that's a rising wedge that he has drawn out there. And like I said, you can spin it in multiple directions, right? You could say, this is a rising wedge. Or you could say, this is a bear flag. You could spin it in either direction. And the rising wedge would have been here, but it broke, obviously, because of that support right there. So this would be the rising wedge case, right? And when you look at the rising wedge case, well, the rising wedge is already broken. Like, we've already broke down from the rising wedge. So even if you look at it from the perspective of this being a rising wedge, you can't even look at it from that perspective, right? And when he looks at this, he's looking at this and saying he hopes that like, you're hoping for a miracle pretty much. Now, rising wedges aren't 100% bearish. It's not going to be 100% bearish 100% of the time. But I think it has like a 72 or 78% win rate to the downside. So when you think of that, and then you look at this, you're like, this is more likely to go down because it's in a bearish pattern. So you don't want to be too hopeful. You don't want to be too hopeful like this guy, Like this guy, he's not too hopeful. You want to be like this guy right here. Just, nah, it ain't going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. All right. So anyways, looking at the crypto fear greed index, we're starting to get more fear back in. You remember how we were going into the neutral range and everyone started getting super bullish, right? And now we're back into the fear. And now those same people are being like, oh, no, I was just playing around. Oh, yeah, we're actually bearish. That's what they're doing now. But yeah. Anyways, this is all I got for you guys today. I'm going to do a video on Zcash later on today. So if any of you guys were waiting for that, then we got a lot to talk about with Zcash. We just broke down from a rising wedge. I'll do the whole breakdown on where Zcash is going, just to give you guys a little hint that are watching now. 50-day moving average at $455. 200-day moving average at $380. And then we have this support here at $340. I'm targeting those levels there. So again, $450, $380, and $330. $450, $380, and then $330. Those are all the levels that I'm targeting. $340, not $330. But yeah, those are the levels. So I'm gonna do a full video on Zcash though, so don't even worry about that. We're gonna get that done later on today. But yeah, shout out to you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Go ahead and become a member of the channel. It's only $9.99 per month. And if you become a member of the channel, you can have me go over any stock, any crypto, as long as it's not a low cap scam coin. All you got to do is become a member of the channel, hit the join button. It's $9.99 per month. And then leave a comment on any one of my videos saying, hey, Marcellus, go over this. Hey, Marcellus, go over that. And then I'll go over for you. Just become a member of the channel. All right. And as always, I'll be back with another video.